Joining us now is Dr. Jason Johnson, Senior Politics Editor for Politic365.com. Hello, Professor. How are you, sir?
Good to speak to you, even though we're under fairly sad circumstances.
It is, yeah, it's very sad circumstances, even made sadder by the media's outright hope by many of them on the left, and I got some sound bites to prove that too, that this was, in fact, a right-wing terror act to coordinate, to be in protest of or commemoration of Waco or Hitler's birthday or dissatisfaction with the government. Didn't work out that way for the left. Too bad.
I would have to disagree. I would not want to impugn anyone, and I mean anyone. I don't care if you're right or left, and say that anybody was hoping anything about this case, except that I think that lots of people were grasping for some explanation. The fact that the attack occurred on Tax Day and on Patriots Day, a lot of people assumed that it had to be domestic. But I wouldn't say that that means that people were hoping that it was going to be the Tea Party. I think people just hoped that we could find out an answer. Unfortunately, to this day, because they're still on a manhunt for the younger brother, we still don't know why these guys did this. We don't know if they were just angry at America. We don't know if they had bipolar disorder. We have no idea.
Well, Jason, we know they didn't have bipolar disorder. There's been all kinds of reports in the media, their Facebook pages, their YouTube postings. The older brother posted radical clerics spewing Islamic rhetoric, and not just one posting, many such postings reportedly. So we have a pretty good idea about why this was done. We have a friend of the younger brother saying that the younger brother said that it's not terrorism if certain people do something like this. That was about 6 months ago. They didn't have bipolar. And you say, wait, and I want to point out to you, I hate to burst your bubble, but let's take Christiane Amanpour to start. She reported from an awards dinner Tuesday night for the Arab American Institute about the crowd's discomfort with the notion that the Boston assailants would turn out to, quote-unquote, look like them. And Christiane Amanpour, who was there to receive an award, said, how many of us feel this burden of association and hope beyond hope that this doesn't turn out to be what it might be? So that's one person who hoped. Here's another one.
That's a different kind of hope. That's a different kind of hope. What that is somebody saying, look, many people in this country think that terrorism only comes from Arabs. And as a Middle Eastern person who lives in the United States, I can understand someone saying, look, I hope it isn't someone who looks like me, because then I will be guilty by association.
Really? But that's not what she said. And if she doesn't want it to be Middle Eastern, then the other alternative is white and right wing by implication. And let me go on.
No, that's not
how about David Sirota? I mean, we could go to his column that he wrote. Where was his column again? We've been trying to get him for the whole week, and he won't come on. He wrote in Salon. He wrote that he was hoping that the suspects would be white Americans. And let me play Cenk Uygur from Current TV. This is cut 24.
Is it fair, Michael, to root for one race or nationality than another? Because David Sirota brought this up, and he got a lot of heat for it, and I never went there. But today, as I was looking at the pictures, I had to be honest with myself. I was rooting for non-Middle Eastern.
Yeah, I was rooting for a white guy, because I know that the way that America is reactionary and has proven so in the past, the way that they go after people, you know, after 9/11 they were killing Sikh Indians at gas stations in Texas, or a Sikh Indian, and it was very difficult, the profiling that happened after that. So yeah, I think that I think it keeps the flames down, you know, if it is a white American guy. I think that that's what I was rooting for, and I'll confess to it too. I didn't write it like David did, but I thought it.
So there's three people. David, this guy, and Cenk were all rooting for a white guy. And you said nobody's rooting for that.
What they were rooting for, if you listen to what Cenk Uygur was saying, is, look, if it was domestic terrorism, it's all the same thing with Timothy McVeigh. You're not going to get the same kind of racial profiling if attacker ends up being a white American as you would if the attacker ends up being somebody from the United States. But I think the more important issue is this. It doesn't really matter what certain individuals or their left say about what they hope or think. What is important is that the United States takes an honest look and a focus when we actually find out why these guys did what they did, and entirely on trying to prevent and observe and maintain control over individuals who may do this kind of behavior in the future. In the first week and a half of any kind of attack, you're going to have a whole lot of dummies say a whole lot of dumb things on the right and the left. Neither one of them is justified.
What dumb things have been said on the right? Are you saying what you've just heard and what I've told you Sirica has said and what Cenk Uygur just said? And are you saying that that's dumb? And if you are, what have you heard? What dumb things have you heard on the right in the media?
What I'm saying is this. What I'm saying is to root for any particular group of people to be responsible for a massacre is a dumb thing.
Right, and that's what the left has done. I gave you examples. Now, where on the right, since you said it's also on the right?
What I am suggesting also is that when I have watched Fox News earlier today, and Fox News was not the only place that did it, that was saying from the very beginning that these guys automatically had to be radicals before we actually knew that information.
Really? Who they? So wait. So hold it. Jason, you're saying Fox News anchors, news people, hosts were rooting that it was Muslims?
No, what I was saying is that lots of people this week, without a lot of information, have been saying things that were not entirely correct and didn't make any sense.
Lots of people in the media on the right?
On the right and the left.
Well, no, we just heard the left. I want something comparable, since you kind of equated and just threw in there gratuitously the left and the Jason, you said the left and the right say dumb things. Well, we showed you the dumb things on the left, although I think it's more than dumb. But your implication is that the same thing happens on the right. Well, who said what like that on the right?
I told you that look, I don't make it a point, because I don't think as an American citizen that it's an important thing to do, to absolutely consistently demonize one side or the other.
No, you like to throw them both into the same barrel when they're not in the barrel together.
Is that whether you were on the right or the left, if you were reporting without full information throughout the course of this week, if you were suggesting automatically that these people had to be Arabs on Tuesday before we knew anything about them.
And who was doing that?
Automatically Middle Eastern. I saw it all day while watching Fox News. I primarily watch Fox News actually throughout the day. But guess what?
And what did they say? No, I want specifics, Jason. What did they say? That it had to be I watched Fox News. They never said that.
Right. And you know what, Steve? If you want to sit, we can sit down and we can watch Fox News together and go through a content analysis, we can. But that's not going to change the fact that the 3 or 4 different liberal people who say stupid things during a week where we should all be concerned about the citizens of Boston does not in any shape or form condemn the entire left of the United States, nor is it the same thing as suggesting not one of the people whose clips you played said Tea Party. None of them said Tea Party.
They were
None
rooting.
Of them said Republican.
They were rooting. I didn't say Tea Party either. They don't care if it's a Tea Party as long as it's a white person. They said they were rooting for white people to be guilty.
Exactly, and I said that that was dumb, but you said from the very beginning that they were automatically saying, this is the Tea Party's fault, this is something with the right.
No, I never said the Tea Party's fault. I said that it was, I played you the NPR clip, which said it was done to commemorate Waco or to Hitler's birthday or anti-government because it was tax day. I never said Tea Party specifically, and you said people on both sides do this, and they don't. They don't.
Absolutely wrong.
Well, but you can't give me an example except Fox News, and they didn't do it, Jason. They went out of their way not to do it.
Right, and Steve, and what I'm telling you is that as a concerned American citizen, I didn't spend this week sorting through everybody's garbage trying to figure out which person said the most offensive things. I was more concerned with giving money to any of the charities that might help people in Boston. I don't care if a bunch of liberals said stupid things. I don't care if a bunch of right-wing people said stupid things. I am simply saying that when we have a situation like this, a true American citizen is concerned about safety, not demonizing one party or another, not demonizing one ideology or the other. So it doesn't matter to me that Cenk Uygur said something stupid, or David Sirota, or that I heard offensive things on Fox News, or that somebody was mistaken when they were talking earlier this week, because that's not going to bring back anyone's limbs.
That's that's such a deflection of the issue that we're on to talk about here. We're not here to talk about giving to charity. We're not here to talk about bringing people back from the dead. We're here to talk about the crazy kooks on the left in the media who do this kind of thing all the time.
And what I'm here to talk about is that when we want to sit here and try and claim that the world is terrible and evil only because of liberals, you are missing the point and you're missing out what's important in America. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How many people, when you walk down the street in your neighborhood, how many people are really affected by anything that David Sirota says?
Okay, but you know what, Jason? Jason, if I sat here on the day after, or even today, before we knew who did it, and I said, I'm rooting for a Muslim, I'd be out of a job, off the air, and the liberal media would be playing what I said ad nauseum as calling me a racist, a bigot, whatever, and my career would be over. But when the left says it, it's exactly what you say. Who cares?
I disagree.
You disagree?
And the reason I disagree is because, hell, we don't even have to use the media example. We have members of Congress over the last couple of days who've been calling people wetback. Just because you say something racist on television does not cost you your job. Ask the
calling people what?
Ask the state councilman in Kansas City. So this myth that you're promoting, that just because I say something racist or offensive, that automatically some mystical group of liberals is going to fire me, or conservatives, it's not true.
You can't fire a congressman, and you can't fire a state representative. I'm talking about the media. And if I, as a media member, said about Muslims, rooting for Muslims to be guilty, as they said, rooting for white people, I'd be fired.
And did King lose his job for saying it was dark-skinned people when they weren't? No.
Did who lose their job?
The King, the guy at CNN. I mean, look, people say offensive things. You know, did Wolf Blitzer lose his job when he said people were so dark and so poor when he was talking about Hurricane Katrina? No.
What is that? I don't know. I don't even know what that means, so dark and so poor. What does that mean?
What I'm saying is, can you give me an example of somebody, regardless of party, regardless of ideological bent, who says something that is perceived as racist on the air and automatically got fired?
Imus.
Give me an example.
Imus.
Because it doesn't happen.
I just said Imus.
Right. Imus came back.
But he no, you didn't say he didn't come back. Jason, you keep keep moving the goalpost not only further but around. You said, could you name me one person who said something perceived as racist who got fired? I say Imus. You say, but he came back. Imus is the answer to your question.
He got to come back to the air.
That's not the issue.
Well,
he got fired.
If the idea is that you're going to lose your job forever because you say something racist, that's not what happened to him. But again, and I'm not moving the goalposts here, my goal and my interest is this. If these guys said I was rooting for it to be a white guy, that's stupid. And any halfway decent editor should be jumping up and down on their necks right now, and they probably should be suspended. But does that mean that the entire left, in some shape, way, or form, hates white people or hates America? Absolutely
and
not.
And Jason, we could agree on that at the end here, because I never said that, and I never would. I thank you, my friend. We'll speak to you next week, hopefully. Dr. Jason Johnson, Senior Politics Editor for Politic365.com. We're coming back.